Okay, let's carry on. So in the last video we got everything, the main masks. My headphones again are going weird. We got all the main masks in there. So we got the eye mask, eye mask, bandit mask, muzzle mask, lip mask, and then we started filling in. We took a bit of time to fill in the gaps. Obviously, the eye mask, the bandit mask, muzzle mask, lip mask, they're all pretty easy to put in. And it is it's the hard work we put in the middle. It's the hard work we put in at the beginning, which makes everything else easier. Now, I'm not discounting. Obviously, a lot of this is going to be quite complex to get your head around at first, because obviously it's a new way of thinking, building this structure and stuff. But if you just take it slowly and practice, it's one of the biggest things: practice, 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 and just keep thinking of those steps. The halfway thing is a massive thing I need people to remember. So, for instance, best thing about it in the eyes. So, if you think about the tear duct and the corner of the eye here, that's your halfway point. You got upper eyelid, lower eyelid. So you designate your halfway points there, and then your halfway point upper eyelid, halfway point lower eyelid, and then the halfway points in between them. First of all, get those in there first, and then build out from there. And then you basically do the exact same thing for everything else. It creates those 4 masks. Obviously, the bandit mask is done a little bit differently. We create the bridge of the nose first. If you get them in there and get them looking good, and just make sure you don't mess with them, don't delete faces, don't redirect faces, anything like that. Everything should be just about taking your time. Obviously, I'll be giving this head out for like reference, so you could look at and keep and look, see how I've done the topology and basically try and follow what I've done. But it is just about taking your time with it, and it is a big puzzle that you will often make mistakes on. But just delete the faces that don't work, bring it back in. Cool. So what I'm going to do straight away in this one is jump straight in and just do a couple of other bits before I start tackling the finalizing bits, like the nose, eyes and lips. I'm not going to do the ears in this video. I'm going to do an ears in a separate video, because they will take a bit of time to do. I'm going to get a neck in there, and I'm going to fix up the back of the head, and then that'll help us understand how to fix up the jowl section. So my neck, well, I want to keep within those numbers we've been dealing with, so 4, 6, 8, 12, 16, 14, them kind of numbers. So I'm going to put 1 at the front, remembering that we can't put 1 in the middle at the beginning, so I'm just going to put 1 at the front there, 1 at the back there, so I have my halfway points, then 1 in the middle of the neck, then 1 in between there, and then just create a basic form there. Start filling that in. Just seal up the front and back. There you go. And then just add the in-betweens of those. And that'll give us 16. 8 on both sides. 16 edges going around the neck. So I'm going to do is also just use a nice big soft select just to smooth it out a little bit. There you go. So that's the base of my neck. And I'm going to drag up using the extend border. I'm going to drag that up to make the top of the neck. Like that. And then just add a couple of divisions in there to make the neck. We're not going for any fancy muscle definition within the neck, so something like that is perfectly good. We're all good. And that's the neck done. Dead simple. Now let's look at the back of the neck. Back of the head. Now I'm going to go about this similar to how I went about making the top of the head, where I brought the strap out from the sides of the eyes to the back of the head and started filling in the cranium. And I'm also going to follow that redirecting kind of mindset as well. So looking at my head here, there's a certain shape that I'm going to follow, and it's this one right here, because this goes over. I could also do this one, but I kind of like doing it with this one, because if I follow this shape round, the one that I've got the edge going around now, I can make a loop with that, and then that means that I'm not creating any new kind of weird misdirections or anything like that. No weird edge flows going in weird directions. I'm literally just making a loop around the back of the head. Now that's actually quite nice if you were doing anything which had quite a pronounced back of the occipital lobe, because this one could literally trace the back of the head and create quite a nice shape for us. So all I'm going to do is switch that extend back to edge. So make sure we're on the right one. Yep. Actually, no, I will. Like looking at it, I'm seeing how it connects to the. No, I'm gonna carry on. Do what I said I was gonna do. I'm gonna drag that down. Then I'm gonna redirect that. So I'll literally just move in the vertex so it's facing in another direction, and then I'm gonna bring that to the middle of the head. Go on. There we go. And then I'm going to look at what edges are coming down here. So obviously I've got 1, 2, 3 edges in the middle here. So I'm just going to add 3 edges in. 1, 2, 3. So I can just fill that in. And then I'm going to look at what's happening back here. So this is where it might get a little bit busy. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 edges. So I am going to add 5 edges in there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I know that this bottom corner of the ear is going to go to this bottom corner here. And then it's basically work my way up. So that one to there, that one to there, that one to there. Oh, I've miscounted actually. I didn't need that one. Okay. So I guess I only needed 4. I don't know why I counted 5. Smooth that out. Oh, something's not connected right there. Something's really not liking that there. So I'm just going to fill that back in. That's better. So you see how they were collapsing? I was smoothing them then and they were getting closer together. That normally means that something's not welded correctly in that area. So I just delete the faces, rebuilt them, and it's perfectly fine now. Now here's where we need to start thinking about how it connects to the neck. So I'm just going to make a jump and say, okay, that's going to be that connection to the neck there. And that's going to tell me if I need to add any more. Now I'm going to try and find, again, through lines, things that are going through. So I'm seeing this edge here, and it kind of looks like it's going to go into this edge here. So I'm going to keep that in mind. I think that's pretty much the halfway point anyway. So this edge here looks like the side of the neck. Looks like it's going into the underside of the ear. So I'm just going to level stuff out a little bit, see how many edges I've got either side. So I've got 2 edges here, and I've got 1, 2, 3 edges here. Okay. So I need to add one on the neck. So I'm just going to move everything to the side, start joining up. Like that. Adding one there. That's good for now. I'm probably going to be adding in edges underneath here and at the top here anyway, so I'm not particularly bothered about that kind of stuff just yet. In fact, let's do that. Let's add one there, add one there, and then I'm going to add one here, and then I'm just going to pre-add one there. And then just clean up some of those edges. So I am adding edges in, but like I keep saying, I'm not adding like 12 at once. I'm adding 1 or 2 at a time. And if I've got a shape, a loop, which is, you know, an even number going round, I'll add the same at the top and at the bottom. So I'm keeping the whole shape similar throughout. And I'll just smear that top of the head. Yeah, here we go. And then I'm just going to manually move some round to clean it up a little bit. Any kind of corner that I've made, oops, a daisy, like that, I want to make sure that it's not flattening out like that, or it's not extending out like that. I'm trying to keep that corner quite visible. And corners in the back of the head are perfectly fine. It's corners in the face, important areas like the face, that I want to stay away from. Everything that should be in the front of the face should be just a straight line going through. I want to stay away from any kind of like bends and stuff in the face, because that's what creates bad topology. And then I'm choosing a soft slide just to even out the back of the head. And this is a perfect example of, you know, we don't need that much information in the back of the head, so something like this is perfectly fine. All the information is going to be in the front of the face. So that's where you want the densest geometry, and maybe in the ears as well. The ears are going to get a little bit dense anyway because of the natural shape, but places like the eyes, the nose, the lips, that's where you want the density to go. And in the back of the head, the neck, unless you've got some kind of like really massive muscle structure and stuff, you don't really need that much density. So that's why the neck is so far perfectly fine. Here creates one of our first problems when finishing off. When we come to finish off a mesh, there's always problems that kind of arise. And one of them is the amount of edges I've got in the neck at the front. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 8 edges going around the front of the throat. Around here. So, okay, but around the jaw I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If I just grab it, it should... I think I got about 22. 26. I got 26. So there's a bit of a difference there. But that's fine, because that's where redirecting stuff really, really helps. I'm not going to take any away if I can help it. I don't think I need to take any away. I could add probably 1 or 2 more into the neck, but again, I don't want to add edges into the neck just to justify adding stuff into the... just to justify connecting to the jawline. Some stuff I could do. I'm not a mad fan of it, but I could send this edge, for instance. This one that's going around the top of the head here. So, this one. I could send this one round into the back of the neck. Not that there's anything wrong with doing that. I just am not a massive fan of doing that, personally. So that takes us down to 24, because that's taking 2 edges, an edge either side. Like, I'm going to keep like that. I'm just not a mad fan of doing it. I don't know why. I think it's just the shape that it makes, but the shape actually isn't wrong. Now, a good little one for me that I like doing is making a loop underneath the chin here. Right around underneath the chin. I'll make a loop inside there using... I could use this edge here. Or I could use this edge here. Or maybe both of them. So I'll just make a decision. What I'm going to do is from this one, which is, again, that's my halfway point of my mouth. The one underneath it, which is coming down like that, I'm going to bring that one to the middle of the neck, completing that loop. I'm going to drag this one in, again doing the same thing, completing that loop. So I know that that's definitely wrapping around like that. It's almost like a bit of a chin strap going on. So what I've done there is taken away 4 more faces, so now we're down to 20 faces. And because I like having that through line going through the face, and it's the same thing with what I did with the middle of the nose and the top of the head here, well, especially top of the head, I made that line go across top of the head first to outline the top of the cranium before filling in the sides. What I'm going to do is add an edge here so that I can continue this on. Because that's definitely going to... You should never... that center line, those 2 edges going down the middle of the face, should always be a continuous line. They shouldn't deviate if you're doing a standard human. If you're doing something which needs that because of, I don't know, some weird face stuff, that's fine. But for a standard human, you shouldn't have any of this center line, like, going off like that. That's not a shape that we want in the face. We don't want that face. We don't want that shape. So I've taken away another 2 faces there. So, okay, so what have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 edges. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 12. So I've got 6 into 12. So I've got to get rid of literally half my polygons. Now we can continue on doing this here, just completing the chin. So I'm going to... There we go. That completes that. Maybe. I'm going to leave that one free, actually, because that's getting a bit risky. And so why I was saying that, because I could fill it in like that, but if I end up adding edges in this direction, it's going up into the face, which I don't want. So if I take away that face there, I could only add them in like that, and then it's easy enough for me to redirect them around the chin. So if I wanted to do that, so I've just added an edge in there to give a bit more mass to my jowl, and obviously I've got this big old shape here. But if I put an edge there, I could go boom, 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 like that. And it goes round. So, and again, I know this like the back of my hand. I probably know this better than I know most other things. I know if I put a point there inside this five-sided house kind of shape, if I put a point there, that's creating 3 polygons within this one area. You've got 1 polygon. Well, if I also put an edge there as well. Polygon there, polygon there, polygon there. That gives me that shape. But just for now, I'm going to leave that blank. And we're going to just start to just rough in, sketch in a direction I think I could or should go. Like that. Let's just fill that in now. Right, like that. So I'm taking out the ear. So I'm looking at this one. I'm thinking, well, this could either come down in this direction, but then it's taking away an edge from my bottom of my neck here, and not really affecting any of the edges up here. But if I take it over here, like that, it's filling in the mass, but it's not. So 1, 2, 3, got 3 there. I'm really reluctant to add any more edges. That's why I'm really thinking about stuff. I'm going to take all those away. I'm going to add another edge in here. I'm going to add a bit more mass to the bottom of the throat. Two, three, huh? Now what I'm not going to do is do anything that comes down from the head here. I'm not going to turn it into the. I don't want to turn anything in the face, like I was saying. So I might have to add maybe 1 or 2 more edges into the neck. Like I said, I'm going to try to not do that. And again, I'm just sketching in what I think I can see, because I'm seeing these 2 edges coming across down facing in this direction, and I'm seeing what I can do with them. So I'm just seeing if I was to do something like, oof, no, that is all sorts of no. So let's take that back. Add another edge into the neck going around there. Fill that in, so that should be okay. Right, so we've got 1 edge, 3 edge. I might just have to add 3 edges in. Not that I want to. Oh, no, but that means we're off number there. See, this is one of the the puzzly areas, is finishing off the body, finish off the neck. If I take that, oh no, can't take that one away. Do that. So I've basically just taken an edge away and then reconnected it. So I am taking some information away, like that. Like that. So I'm bridging and making that jump. And I can definitely do that. I might just have to bite the bullet a little bit on that one. It makes my neck a bit denser than I really want it to, and what I want it to have is like a nice even distribution going around the neck. But I can tweak it. I can I can deal with it. I can tweak. Add one around the throat there. Okay. This is also me being super optimized minded. I'm a very, when it comes to retopology, I'm all about optimization. I'm all about trying to keep the count low as possible without losing form and shape. So sometimes I am a little bit, you know, where I can add edges in there. I'm just a bit hesitant to. But, you know, that's perfectly fine. What I've done there, perfectly fine. So yeah, dealing with the underside of the jaw there, the main thing I did was make that little bit of a loop coming under the chin. And I chose two edges. I chose this edge and also this one. And this one. Coming out from the underside, from the lower part of the lip, outside lip there. So I chose that to make a loop going round into the side. And then basically filled that in using the same kind of thinking that I did at the back of the head. Making that loop going round. And the only point about that I'm not a mad fan of is this bit. So I'm just going to shift stuff around a little bit and smooth. Like that. Yep, okay. I'm going to leave it like that. I'm happy with that. So if we just look at that in isolation, we're going to see lovely. If we just soften the edges on it as well. Display. That's looking nice. We've still got a ways to go. You know, we've got the... Really all we've got here is the basic shape. We've not added any... We've not added any kind of like really nice control shapes. Like shapes that help us define the tear duct, so that if we did want to have some like really close-up shot, if we were doing some sort of sorry, my headphones are bugging me again. Oh, my headphones are so broken. If we were doing some sort of like close-up portfolio piece and we wanted like really nice tear ducts, there are ways that we would like redirect the topology so we can have like a really nice curvy tear duct. There's loads of stuff we can do. There's loads of advanced stuff we can do. But we're going to keep this simple. And this is, unfortunately, the simpler side of retopology. Okay. So now the last things to do with the eyes. So I'm going to do the eyes now because they're the easiest thing to do. All I've got to do is basically count how many edges are going around the outside. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 edges going around the outside. I just need to make some kind of 20-sided shape on the inside of here. So I'll start off with my grid of 9, my control, my junction kind of shape. Okay, and you'll notice I always have this at the top left on screen because it helps me. It helps me with this kind of stuff. If you do want this, it's called the heads up. If you go to display, heads up display, and then you go to poly count, there you go. You can have this up there because what I'm going to do is just come out of quad drawing for a minute. Double click it and we've got 16, so I've got obviously 2 on both sides, so I've got 8 going around. Really what I want is 40. So I want a 40-sided shape. So what I'm going to do is just do some, get rid of you, just add, right, what does that give me? That gives me 32. Okay, so I need to add another 8. 36. 40. So literally all I did then was just make a very basic shape at the back of the eye and then just started adding edges in there. Now this is all under the assumption that I want a closed off eye, that I don't want any kind of like gap in geometry at the back of the eye. So I'm just using the smooth tool to basically round it off and stuff. And then all I'm going to do now is find a halfway point and literally just, you know, halfway to the halfway. So that's my halfway point. So this is my upper halfway. So it's the same thinking of when I first made the eyes and stuff. I've got a halfway point. So I've got one. So this is my upper halfway. So that's going to go to my upper eyelid. This is my lower halfway. So it's my lower eyelid. And then you just follow it around. Like that. Which can be a bit tedious. But like I said, this is all in the assumption that we want a closed-off eye, which some people might want to do. You know, some studios will say make a closed-off eye because you know it mitigates the risk of if your character loads in without any eyes or whatever. You know, you're not going to see. You have an overly expressive character. You're not going to see behind the eyes, into the void, and see through the head and see stuff you don't want to see. Like that. So that closes it off, and then we can just add edges in. So I'm going to add one edge in right at the middle there. That gives me the thickness of the eyelid, and then I can start to add a few more in there just to round off the back of the eye. Simple, simple, simple. Another way of doing that, if you don't want to deal with any of that schlep, is to just get rid of all... In fact, I'm just going to just get rid of all this. And all that. Is to change to border on your extend again, and then just extrude it in a little bit. Now it will go a bit weird at first. It's not going to work perfectly. I'm just going to bring it in a little bit, and then I'm going to start shifting this geometry in. Again, what we're doing here is just making the thickness of the eyelid. The fleshy thickness. Both ways are perfectly fine. You know, I don't really care which one people do. As long as you have some kind of blocker behind the eye, or some sort of like mask behind the eye, so that you're not going to, you know, if the character opens his eyes too much, you're not risking seeing, you know, behind the geometry, because obviously you don't want your players to see that. Like that. And then you just do it a little bit more. Again, just to stop anything from possibly being seen. Now, really, as well, if I was doing this for production, I would be making a better eye socket for this. The eye sockets for these are a bit, you know, a bit sketchy. Oh, you can see there that, ooh, geometry is going weird. So I'm just going to get rid of that. That looks like nothing's broken there. That's fine. So, doing that with the eyes is perfectly fine. Let's make the lips. I'm putting off doing the nose. Now what we've got here is a character without a mouth bag. Now we're going to make a character with a mouth bag. We're going to show you how to make mouth bags in ZBrush when we do the likenesses, because it means you can control the lips a lot nicer. If you like have a control group for the bottom jaw and a control group for the poly group. There you go. A poly group for the lower jaw. It means you can control the upper lip and lower lip separately. And you can kind of, this is all after you've done the retopology. You can kind of like have them move around more naturally with them, rather than trying to sculpt in that natural kind of overlapping. But if I'm just doing it like this, then all I've got to do is close off the mouth without making it look rubbish. So I'm just going to move stuff aside, add a couple more edges in here to try and just match it up with the lower lip. Let's just smooth off that lower lip a little bit. Smooth that upper lip a little bit. There we go. Because my upper lip felt a little bit less dense than my lower lip. No, sorry, my upper lip felt less dense than my lower lip. Right. So with this, all we've got to do is just try and fill in this while still making it look like lips. So I'm going to do the same thing where change my extend to edge. There you go. I'm just going to pull an edge to the middle like that. And I'm going to see if I can do that for most of the way. Okay, so just filling in. And what we've got here, we've got the little house at the end. So I could make a cheeky triangle there. I could make a very cheeky triangle. This is because I've not got the same amount of edges on my upper lip than I have on my lower lip, so I've not got enough to properly match up. So that's my halfway point. Again, got to remember my halfway point. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 14 on the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got more on my upper lip. Okay, so I'm actually going to take one away from my upper lip. So I was wrong. There we go. So now that should line up perfectly. Yeah. Bang. There you go. So what I did there is I've made a bit of a horrible bit of geometry, but it works for this. This could be a quad, but if I also put a point in the middle, I still make 2 quads. I've just got this quad up here and this quad down here. They look like tris, but they're not tris. They are a quad because they have got a vertex in the middle. It's just that that's giving me a crease in the middle there. And then I can add some roundness to the lips. And essentially that's the lips done. And then I just have to move and arrange so I can actually follow the form of the lips. I'm going to try not to use any smooth on the lips. I'm going to keep them... I'm going to try and maintain this. These aren't how we would do lips normally. Lips are... This is just so we can pull projection from a closed mouth kind of sculpt. This isn't how lips really should be retopologized when you got an open mouth. We have to approach them a little bit differently, mainly in the corners of the mouth. But for now, this is perfectly fine. There you go. Last thing that I've been putting off is the nose. So the nose takes a little bit of time to not figure out, should I say, to kind of like to do. I'm going to add a nose mask in this. So I'm going to add a loop that goes round the nose, almost like a container. And I can start to shape that with the geometry that I've already got down here, around the nose. And if I go and grab my extend, turn that to border, I've made my nose ring. I've made my nose mask. There you go. Very simple. And I can just arrange that around the nose. Now the hard part of the nose is stuff like the nostrils and the philtrum and all that kind of stuff, and the septum, all that kind of stuff. It's getting it looking right. What I want people to try and avoid is just having like pyramid noses where geometry is going like a straight line. I want us to avoid that. Noses swoop around and they're quite bendy surfaces, and this does need a little bit of practice, and you'll make a bunch of mistakes, and you'll probably ask me to look at it. I'll tell you, no, you need to redirect this or whatever. This is where just trying to experiment with stuff is really, really good. Not even trying, just experimenting. Because I know that I want to have a loop which goes... See if grease pencil will work. I want to have a loop which comes around like this on my nose, so that this sharp line, though it's not a sharp line, but this form of the nostril is just a little bit more pronounced. I want that. Right, you can go away now, grease pencil. So what I'm going to do is pull out the first shape, and that's my beginning bit. So this here, side of my nose, this is where I can start to dictate where stuff goes directionally. So I'm just going to, boom, right, I'm going to dictate that shape. Like that. Okay, so I'm already deciding that loop's going to go around there. And I'm just adding a couple of edges in there just to give myself a bit of form. I'm trying not to connect it to the main part of the nose just yet, but I'm trying to just get that loop of the nose in there for now. I am going to give myself a set of faces in the middle. So that's the middle of my nose. And in fact, what I could do, while I've got that in there, I'm going to leave that for a time being. I'm going to step away, try not to overthink it for now. Again, that center line which runs through the face, runs through the nose. So I can carry that on. I can bring that down into this little junction box. And then down through the filtrum. And then we'll leave it there for now, because I am going to put a filtrum in here, which will mean me deleting some faces here. So for now, I'm going to leave it like that. But it means I know exactly where these faces are going. Right, they're going directly through there. Straight line. No deviations. So now that I've brought this loop in here, I can look at, again, try and, now that I've added that loop, that center line in as well, I can try and look to see where some of these edges might kind of match up. So I'm looking at this. I could send this into there, or I could send this into there to start to fill this area in. This edge and this edge look like they meet, so I can add, I'm actually going to connect those in, and then I'm going to add an edge in there to connect that in. That's starting to get that loop of that nostril in there. Probably need another one there, like that. And like that. Oop. I don't want to smooth around here because that'll make me lose form. And I guess this one will just continue like this. I'm going to leave it like this for now. Yes, I'm going to leave it like that for now. And I'm going to move to the lower part here, so where we come up underneath into the nostril. So I'm going to start to just build that in. In fact, knowing that I'm going to take faces away from here, I am going to take these away and then just move this. So again, you know, I made all that fuss about keeping these faces in place and stuff, but when we come to finish stuff off, we might be ending up deleting faces to then rebuild them, because, you know, in this case it was overstretching this piece of geometry over there, so I deleted them knowing I was going to put a filter in, and I know I'm going to sort it out later on. This one I'm going to bring up under the nose. So I'm going to have that, when we're talking about that kind of the loop, that helix, that spiral which goes around the nose then goes up into the nose. The nostril isn't just a ring, it's a fold of skin which goes up underneath. I'm going to do that. So I'm going to have this come like this, like that. So I'm starting to create that loop of the nose. And again, just kind of sketch it in. I could probably end it with something like that. That's not bad. Yes, it's a loop which, it's a really nasty loop when you look at it from a technical standpoint, but really, that's fine for now, because I'm going to add another edge in or two here in the septum anyway. And I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen with edges coming down from the nostril and the main bulb of the nose. So just having this loop in there, that's fine. So with that being said, so I feel like I can take this edge down to this edge here, like that. So let me just set up a path for that. Okay. I'm just going to start to fill some of this in. There's every chance I'm going to add another extra edge or two inside the mouth anyway, and definitely going to be inside the eyes. So I'm not too worried about that. That's why I'm not kind of trying to merge this in or anything just yet. I'm trying to get good form. So this, I can kind of see this coming around, following that swoop of the nostril going up to in this direction. If I just do that, no, leave it down there. Move you down there. Gonna do a bit of that. So I'm making this loop going round. And that loop's going to come down into here. Which means I've added another bit of geometry in there so I can just start to move stuff around. Even it out. So I think I might add another edge in there. And there. So I'm adding another edge in there because, one, it's going to add more geometry around my mouth anyway, which is a prime space for obviously bending. But also it allows me just to have a bit more of a curvier nose, so I'm less likely to have like just flat areas in the lower poly, which have like weird normal maps on. You know, you'll have a flat area, but with a normal map, which makes it look like it's meant to bend, and you get like weird shadowing and stuff. Okay. Okay. Not happy with that. This diamond shape here. I'm not happy with, but I feel if I just put like that fixes. Yeah, there we go. That fixes up. So this is an intersection of many different, like this shape here. You've got this coming across like this. You got this going around like this, and it makes this diamond. But if you close it, you still have a similar shape. It's just you're losing this kind of awkward, weird shape that's in there. Like, that's not a particularly nice shape to have in there. See how we've not lost that nice curve to the nose. Let me just go back in. I'm just going to go in and adjust some of these edges now. Space them out manually. I want to, again, try and stay away from relying on smooth too much in this area. And just kind of touch up with smooth, rather than relying it to fix stuff. Okay, good. Cool. Okay, so that's... And now it's just about filling in the gaps of the nose. So, I'm going to add a few edges in there. I can bring this one in like this. That one I've added here is just to give a bit more kind of shape to the septum. If I added one there, no, that's not going to be good to do that. No, there's too much grey sticking out there. Although maybe if I go in there and just maybe touch it with a bit of smooth. No, see, the end of my nose is getting too low res. Obviously I don't want that to be. I don't need that to be high res, but it's starting to look stretched at the edge of the nose. So maybe I could probably keep it. I just need to move the geometry in a little bit, like that. That feels a bit better. I'm going to leave like that anyway. I'm going to try not to chase the whole... you know, just because I'm seeing a few little bits sticking out, I'm going to lose sleep over it. I'm going to try not to do what I normally do and lose sleep over it. But if I add an edge in there, what's that going to do? It's going to add another edge into the mouth. I'll add one more edge in there. Add one more in there. And then just go through and just... Trying to avoid those rectangles. Trying to keep it square as possible. They're a bit rectangular. So we've got a few rectangles going on that I'm not completely enthralled about. But that could be fixed up when I do the ear anyway. It's mainly here in this general area, like here. Oops. Like all this area here where I'm seeing the rectangles appear. And I could fix that by adding like one or two extra edges into the mouth. But I'm going to try to avoid that for now. Okay. So finishing the whole thing up, I'm going to make a filter, and I'm going to do that the same way as I made this up here. So I'm going to drag down from here. I'm going to make my filtrum like that. Fill it in. Two zone across like that. Fill that in. There we go. And what that allows me to do, why I like putting in the filtrum is it's a good excuse for me to put a little bit more information in the nose, a little bit more information in the nose, and then just basically kill it by using this loop that goes around these two loops, so this one and this one here. So this loop that goes, oops, this loop that goes around, and that loop that goes around, like there. I'm killing those edges, going up and into themselves. And then I can fill in the nose. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9. So I make my little junction box on the inside of the nose, like that. And again, just like I did with the back of the eye, when I was showing you one of the ways of making the back of the eye, I just have to know how many edges I've got in my nose. I could probably add another one in there. I'm looking at how many edges are on the outside here, and then how many edges are on the inside here. I'm going to just try and even it out a little bit. Oh, no, that's really annoying me. So once again, I'm going in there and I'm changing stuff because I'm seeing things that I want to change. I'll do that, and then I can do that. Oh, it's a bit naughty. Bit naughty, but who's gonna see? Who's gonna see? Okay. So that was just my retopology brain just going, oh, I could probably make that a bit better, and just did a bit of dirty retopology there just to make that one area felt a little bit low res compared to everything else, felt a bit flat. So I just added a little bit more definition just to help it fit to that nose area. So what I do is just get the amount of edges I've got going around the nose, which is 22, so that's 11 both sides. Bit of an odd number, but that's okay. Now think about that, if I wanted to make that a bit of an even number, looking at this, I could actually do that. If I just open up my filter a little bit and then add an edge in here. Or am I overcomplicating that? I think I'm overcomplicating it actually. Yeah, I'll just stick with 11. You've got to learn when to, like, nope, don't do that. Right, okay. So we've got 8 sides going around here, so I've got 20 sides going around. 24 going around. That's fine. I've got 24. I'm going to end up making a triangle somewhere. Inside the nose, you know what, I'm really not bothered about making bad geometry inside the nose. Because it's inside the nose. Unless you're doing some weird game where you're inside someone's nose, but you try harder. So I'm just moving these, lining them up essentially. With okay, so 1, 2. I'll put you like that. There we go. Just add a few edges in there just to allow myself enough geometry, and that's fine. Let's just make sure it's as even as possible. Even inside the nose, it's the attention to detail. If you want to be a 3D character artist, it's the attention to detail which people really appreciate when people look at your portfolio. And yeah, I know I've made excuses being like, I'll just do a bit of dirty something there and a bit of whatever's there and stuff, but I don't want to get people really bogged down with the proper hardcore level of attention when we're just learning, because this is hard enough as it is. and then just smooth out some of those wonkier edges. Ooh, let's drag you back a little bit. Drag you in a little bit. And that, if I don't say so myself, is quite nice. Now your head's always going to look softer than you want when you're first doing this because there's no normal map applied to it. You know, the normal map is the thing that normal map, ambient occlusion map, curvature map, all the stuff we use to texture this and what we put inside engines. That's the thing that gives it a really nice surface. That's where all the sharpness comes from. If you see any character, even from like a AAA massive game, and you see like just the basic clay of it, like this, the basic grey, it's going to look like this. You'll lose all the features. It looks soft. It looks like a mannequin. But that's nice, that. Let's have a look at the topology. Yeah. You know, because this is not an open mouth and it's a closed mouth, we've had to do a bit of dirty work around the mouth there. But again, this is just the practice side of stuff. Ears we've not approached yet, so this whole thing is going to change. But what's that? That first video was an hour and a half plus a bit of explanation. This is hour and 50. No, sorry, not an hour and 50. 50 minutes. So, as you can see, once you know what you're doing, even though you might make mistakes, I always make mistakes. Even though you might make mistakes, it's really easy just to come back and be like, okay, I'm just going to refix this, fix this. There's still tons that I would change about this. More about dragging stuff down. Like, the way that these edge loops are kind of going upwards like this across the back of the head. I don't know why. I want to bring those so they're a bit more horizontal. I would probably feel better about going back and maybe doing the nose a bit differently. If it was a portfolio piece myself, I'd do the nose a bit differently. I would definitely make a better structure for the tear duct, and depending on who I'm doing, I would make some sort of folded geometry here for if I've got like a particularly overhanging epicanthic fold on the outside of the eye. This character didn't have any laugh lines or anything like that, any prominent ones anyway, so we didn't need to worry about that. The only thing left to do, now that I'm losing my voice, is the ears. But like I said, I'm going to leave that for a different day and a different video because that is going to be quite a long process. That's a real head scratcher. Even myself, ears always stump me sometimes. But that's it. That's retopology of a basic head. And follow the steps, take your time. You're going to be really bad at it at first. It's going to be quite a head scratcher at first. But this is why I'm always going on about practice and why, you know, just taking your time. Don't rush through stuff. Make notes. You know, pay attention when you're doing stuff. Don't just do stuff and go into autopilot mode, which I know a good few you'd tend to do that. Don't go into autopilot mode. Take your time and work through stuff methodically. I've actually forgotten half the stuff I said during that video because that's me working. I'm talking through how I'm doing stuff. I'm actively thinking about how I'm going to be sending, if I'm doing stuff like this, how I'm actively going to be producing my topology. What's the best for this particular character? If I'm doing an asymmetrical character, where are the symmetrical areas that I can do first? I'm going to do all the symmetrical stuff first, and then I'm going to do the asymmetricality stuff later on. If it's a completely asymmetrical character, then where am I going to start? You know, how am I going to start? If I'm doing a person's face which is asymmetrical and I can't have any symmetry in it at all, I will still go through that. I'll still go tear duct outside the eye, top of the middle eyelid, top of the bottom eyelid, middle of the top eyelid, middle of the bottom eyelid, and then middle in between. So I'll still do the same steps. I'll just have to do it there, and then I'll do it there, and then I'll just check, see if they're okay, and then I'll go back and do, and then I'll check, and I'll go back to because I can't rely on symmetry to do half the work for me. But so far, so good. Now, when it comes to UV in people, I want to just preface this ahead of time as well. UV in people is incredibly easy. So easy. It's kind of nice after all the hard work we put into sculpting, sketching, retopology, all this kind of stuff, and all the work we're going to put into for texturing, hair and clothes and all that kind of stuff. UV in is really easy. Really easy. Okay, cool. So I'm going to leave it there for that one. I'm going to rest my voice, and I will see you in the next one when we do ears.